All right. So today I have got a very special guest, Spencer Clays. I am sure you have seen his channel. He is the roof washing king. He is the guy that when you type in roof washing or how to roof wash, he's popping up and he is showing you guys how to do it. Thank you for coming on, man.
What's going on?
You know, like I said, obviously you've got a sizable channel where you are out there helping people understand, you know, the benefits of running and owning your own business. So how old were you when you started the roof washing business?
I think I was 23 when I first started.
So what made you decide that you wanted to work for yourself as opposed to somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I just finished college. I was like, making no money, working. I worked pretty much every single job you can do, from like fishing in Alaska, tire shop, like retail, restaurant, server, all that stuff. And then I'd actually joined the Navy Reserve, and so I was like really in the heat of all these little different kind of crappy jobs, and I would just like had enough. And so yeah, one day I was like, I heard about some guy making $900 a day cleaning gutters, and I was like, that sounds awesome. And just I just kind of sent it. I just bought a cheap pressure washer, a beautiful little Ryobi machine, and just started knocking doors. And lo and behold, next day I made 100 and I think it was like $120 or something from my first pressure wash, and then from there I was hooked.
That's awesome, man. So the initial thought was gutter cleaning, right?
I mean, the initial thought was just like I've seen pressure washing was like a thing, and then but the more I talk to customers out here, like no one really, because I never, believe it or not, I'd never heard of or even I'd never even seen anyone pressure wash anything until I was like 23. It's not as big up in the Northwest, but then when I started talking to customers, like, oh, do you do roof cleaning? Do you do gutters? I was like, sure. I mean, my dad had always made me do it since I was a kid, so
Yeah.
I mean, had no fear of getting up on the ladder and stuff. So
Right.
that really that was the thing that really took off.
Yeah. And so was there a specific point, something that happened and you were like, dude, I'm done with everything else, you know, Navy Reserve, tire store, whatever. And you were like, I'm out. Like, was there a specific point, something like a breaking point, or was it just like, I know that there's more opportunity?
I can't remember a specific moment where I was just like, I'm never going back to a job ever again. Like obviously we have that I have that thought now. Like I'm just not even a question. Yeah, just seeing other people doing it, and then getting in and talking to more people, seeing like, oh yeah, 20K, 30K a month is like very achievable, very doable. And
Right.
then it's like what job is gonna pay you that? Even if it's like a really good job, it's like nowadays bare minimum you need like 100K to survive, I feel like.
Easy. Yeah.
So like what job is going to pay you that, right? So that was kind of like
Yeah.
kind of needed to at that point.
Right, especially at a young age. And so I guess, you know, a lot of younger guys are out there, they're watching your channel, they're watching my channel, and they are thinking about starting a business, wanting to start a business. One of the biggest struggles I think for everybody, regardless of age, is customer acquisition, right? And
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about going and knocking on doors. Was that how you started kind of acquiring your first few customers?
Yeah, that's how I got the ball rolling for sure. Like, because I always explain it. Getting customers, you're either going to spend time or you're going to spend money. So in the beginning, if you're broke, like you have time. Like, and if you're broke and you don't have time, like something's fucking wrong. You got to figure that shit out. So if you got time, just you got to be hitting the pavement, knocking doors, and then ideally, if you're not terrible, and that's the thing too. It's kind of funny, like the whole door to door thing. People get like really excited about like, oh, what's the perfect script? And it's like, dude, I sold my third door that I ever knocked, and I was terrible. I'm still not the best like door to door guy. If you see any of my videos, I'm like, they're like, you probably like that guy sucks at door to door, but you know, you just keep doing it. Like people will just there is a certain amount of people that will just give you money if you go into enough doors. So do that, and then obviously you should make some money, and then you put that on to stuff that you can actually scale. Like now we're spending like 30-40 bucks a day on ads, and get your SEO dialed in for your website so you get free leads coming in, and that's kind of the progression.
You've got ad spend going out right now. Where are you doing that? Facebook, Google, both?
Yeah, we're doing Facebook primarily, but for me, kind of my bread and butter has always been Facebook. That's kind of, yeah, what, 4 or 5 years ago when I started, and I've never really not been able to make it work. So
Yeah.
it's like it's just something that's always worked really well for me.
Yeah, I've always shied away from Facebook, and I don't know why. I'm just not a Facebook guy. Like I don't have like any friends on Facebook or any of
Yeah.
that stuff. So we just started running video ads, right? And they're just prepackaged video ads with, my company logo, the name, a little script, some music, nice high quality video and whatnot. And those are crushing for us, right? And I was always under the impression like, no, people are on Facebook to do, anything but search for the services that I'm offering. But man, these videos are absolutely crushing. And if anybody is interested, we did a free training on how to create these videos. It's at qiqads.com. I'll put a link down below, but you can check it out. Take the script, take everything, copy it, make it your own, and I promise you're going to see a big return on either your time investment, or if you want us to make the videos for you, your money investment. You talked about Google. You've obviously got a Google profile. Are you still
Yeah.
working on that daily?
A little bit. Yeah. Google SEO is like, that's something that's just like a wild topic. If you like go down the further down that rabbit hole you go, like you can really go. So
Yeah.
I'm in a couple masterminds there. I've spent a lot of money, had guys like help me build my website. And, now I'm trying to put out a couple articles, at least a few a month, extra
Right.
services. Because there's some crazy websites out there. If you look at like some of the big gutter cleaning services, ones that like they outsource a lot of, they're like, they'll have like hundreds, if not thousands of pages of like, you know, because like you're in Georgia, right? Savannah. So they probably have every single little suburb that's above like a couple thousand people. They got a service page for that. So it's like even little neighborhoods, you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was a fucking city. They got a
Right.
service page for that. Like, oh, pressure washing here, window cleaning here. So like there's literally like if you have like even three services and like, however many 100+ cities, that's hundreds of pages that you should be adding if you can. The person who
Right.
has the more pages, they're gonna win. So
Yeah. Yeah, the whole SEO game, it really is crazy. And it's just a consistency thing, I guess, like everything else that we do as far as our marketing goes. Like, guys will say, well, I went and I knocked on 10 doors and nobody hired me. Well, guess
yeah,
what? You've got to do 100 and 1,000. I've mailed out X amount of postcards. Well, triple that, quadruple that, and then you're going to see it. It is a numbers game, and it's a consistency thing. And the people that are resilient and can stick to it are the ones that are going to be here in a year, 10 years, 20 years. And those are the guys that are going to be making the 10, 20,000, $30,000 a month. And it is possible. That's possible with a one-man operation, right? It's
yeah.
pretty remarkable that in this type of business we're able to generate that kind of income by just providing a good quality service that people don't want to do.
Yeah, and that's something like I noticed right as soon as we started talking, even before this interview, like you and any other like successful person, you got that long-term mindset. You're like, okay, I don't really care if this is going to work this week or even next month. Is this going to work 10 months from now, 10 years from now? Like every person, every beginner I talk to is always just like, I mean, I get it too. I was in the same place. I need like, hey, I need a job tomorrow. I need work like in the next day or two. But then like as soon as you kind of step back, you say, okay, obviously things are working. How can I focus on getting things to happen 10 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now? So and SEO is another good example. Like if you write an article, it's not going to rank for like at least like 2 months on Google. You will not see it. It's just like so most people just do not have that any like perspective, any like long term perspective at all.
Right.
So that's like the biggest shift I would think I would want to recommend anyone like start to look at. Like, okay, how can I look at the long term?
And that is exactly what we've done with Quote IQ. This is the ultimate tool for your home service business. Full capabilities of the regular old CRMs out there, but we built this for you because we know the things that are important to you. Saving you time, making you look professional, getting you more customers, and making you more money. But more importantly, we know that every single penny matters, and Quote IQ gives you more for free, like the review multiplier, unlimited estimates and invoices, terms and conditions on every estimate, as well as customer signed estimates, and of course, the tipping option on all your invoices. All of that's free. Check it out at myquoteiq.com. So the other thing that you just mentioned is you talked about mastermind groups and investing in yourself and your education and your business, and that's something that Mike at your age would never have done.
Yeah.
I can do it myself. I'm smart. I can, but in hindsight, if I could go back and have the same mindset that I have now that you have at your age, and also, everybody, congratulations to Spencer. He and his wife, they just had a brand new baby boy about 9 days ago. So you look
Yeah.
great for having a newborn. I remember those days, and it was rough.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is investing in your time, right? And I think there's a lot to it, right? Obviously, I sell stuff, right? And everybody watching this, they sell stuff, whether they like to admit it or not. People sometimes
Yeah.
get angry that, you're selling a training program, or you're selling, you're charging a monthly fee for quote IQ, right? Well, yes, because it's a business. And just like the folks that are watching that, maybe thinking like, well, all you do is talk about, this or that. Well, you're selling your service, you're selling yourself. In order to get better at things, right? Like, you need to learn from people that are better at it than you. And that's something that I didn't do. I learned a lot of the stuff the hard way. Now, like yourself, I spend a ton of money on, mentorship type deals and mastermind groups where I surround myself with people that are much smarter and much better at the things that I want to get better at. Can you talk on that? When did you decide that you were like, okay, this actually makes sense rather than doing it the hard way?
Yeah, I mean, a really good example too, kind of like the long-term thinking is just like we clean stuff, right? We provide a service for our customers and we make their lives easier. They could clean their own roofs, they could clean their own gutters, they could pressure wash themselves. So like part of like realizing that like, okay, we are saving our customers time. How can I save myself time? Like so many people are like focused on like trying to do it themselves, trying to be as cheap as possible. And then they get in that mentality and then they're, how are you expecting your customer to spend $1,000 with you if you won't even spend $100 on yourself, right? Like it's a mentality that like I'm still, we're still working on. Like even like I had to get some parts on my truck fixed, and my buddy's like, "Oh, we could do that ourselves and have it done." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Dude, I could pay a professional to come to my house and get everything done for like $600. Like, duh, like that's easy. Instead of like trying to do it myself and spending hours of my own time, it's just like you need to get that shift of like, how can I like use leverage, use other people's experience, knowledge, time. And yeah, if you want to pay for stuff, like you can obviously hire just about anyone who's got a YouTube channel to teach you how to do it. But I mean, just at least getting that mentality of like, okay, how can I, if I'm selling this to my own customers of getting things done better and faster, like how can I do that for myself, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually saw something the other day. It was I don't remember who it was, but the lady was talking about, I think it was pest control. And she goes, when you walk into like Lowe's or Home Depot, you walk down the pest aisle, right? And there are like hundreds of products that are out there. And it's for homeowners to go in and they buy this, they go home and they do it themselves. And she was saying that one of the things that service providers like us, business owners, we need to think about is, why are there so many products on the shelves for like these services? And it's because a lot of people, they don't trust guys that are providing these services, because I think there's maybe a bad enough track record that people have experienced, or a mindset where it's like, oh yeah, these pressure washers, they're whatever, or window cleaners, I can, it was just kind of a funny thing to think about. And,
Yeah.
and she was like, go in there, and like the number one selling product at Home Depot and Lowe's in the spring and summer are pressure washers and lawnmowers, right? And why? Yes, to some degree, because some people want to do it themselves. They can't afford to, hire somebody to do it. But it was just an interesting thing, which kind of brings me into something that you're doing, which I think is really. You were going to say something.
Oh, like no, like that's a good thought too. And it kind of like led me to think of, I heard it somewhere, I can't remember who said it, but he who educates the market owns the market or something like that. It's something to do with educate who educates the market. And I mean, obviously you're really good at doing that too. And I try and do that. How can you teach your customers how to get better products and get better services, obviously, so that like, and if you like when I'm running Facebook ads, that's it. Like 90% of my ad is I'm explaining why they need it done, like what they need done, how we do it. I'm not just telling them, hey, roof cleaning, this like $200, $300. The intro, I'm like, hey, here's exactly why, according to this, like, and so we're educating them too. That goes a long way. And then not going back to
Especially,
Google and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, especially with roof cleaning, at least down here. I can't speak for the Pacific Northwest, but like down here, a lot of people are just unaware that like they don't have to have those ugly black streaks. Now, I don't know if you've got the glowio caps of magma, the black stuff like we do down here as much. I know you fight with the moss,
Yeah. Not, yeah, we
but
don't have a ton of the black streaks. It's not as like if you have black streaks, you have moss. Like it's like
right.
pretty much.
One of the things that we did years ago is we created a roof washing explainer video that explains exactly what's going on, what's causing it, the damage that it causes, how we can solve the issue for them. And it's basically speaking on the pain points, kind of like what you're talking about on your ads, right? It's not, hi, I'm Mike and I have a roof washing business, 20% off if you call me today. No one gives a damn, right?
Yeah,
They
no
need
one
to
cares. Yeah.
Yeah, they need to understand why they need us. And by doing exactly what you said, you're going to sell a hell of a lot more than the guys with the boring ads. So, talk to me about you've got Moss, and I've been watching some of your videos. You've got something new, a new endeavor. Talk to me about what you got going on.
Yeah, so we started using like obviously if anyone's pressure washed or cleaned roofs or stuff before, you use bleach, sodium hypochlorite, and that stuff is great. Works really good. But then after using it for years and stuff, it's just kind of corrosive, toxic. I just kind of switched over to oxygen bleach, which works. It works really good. It's not nearly as like it's a little bit more eco-friendly and all that sort of stuff. And I've been testing it. I really like it. So it's kind of something that we're kind of bringing to the market and stuff too.
Right, and that's pretty exciting. It's a product that you have worked with a local chemical company to develop and kind of refine to your specifications that is going to help a lot of people out there that don't want to mess with the bleach. And it's powder form, correct?
Yeah, powder form. So you can actually spread it on the roof and just kind of let the rain hit it. Yeah, you can powder it on. You can add it to your tank. You can spray it. Works really good. Not like definitely, and that's another question people have is like, are you going to see the instant like bleach like sodium hypochlorite results? No, it takes a little bit longer. It's because just you're not using a flamethrower to essentially kill everything. You're using like a little bit longer term, but it is a bit better, and it's also a little bit cheaper too. Is another cool thing.
Customers are used to the zinc powder, then this is going to be really no different. Like as far as the process goes and the time
Yeah,
it takes.
yeah, people are familiar with that, and yeah, and just going back to educating the market too. Like there's really only one single product at Home Depot that you can get for roofs and moss and stuff. So I'm like, there's got to be a couple other products. Like
Yeah,
obviously you
right.
guys have experienced this with like your CRM and stuff. Like there are other CRMs, but it's like okay, that's not necessarily like can we do it better? Can we provide it more tailored for these people, right?
Right.
So that's what I was starting to think about too.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. So how can people get it?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to my website. It's just like shop.northwestprowash.com, or have it linked pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
Just Google or just YouTube like oxygen bleach roof cleaning, and hopefully one of my videos pops up. We'll see.
Right.
But
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. That's exciting. I love to see people that are expanding and branching out, right? And that's a lot of thing, not everybody's going to, create a CRM or come out with a chemical, but what you can do is add additional services to what you're currently doing, whether it's roof cleaning, whether it's gutter cleaning, window cleaning. I mean, there is a plethora of opportunity for people to increase the average ticket price, the lifetime value of customers. Those are two metrics that I am very, very interested in and monitor all the time. You got to be making as much money as you can with every single customer and making sure you do a good job so that lifetime value of that customer continues to grow every single time that you service them, whether it's every year, every couple years, whatever the case is. Are you doing like Christmas lighting? Are you doing anything other than roof cleaning, pressure washing, stuff like that?
yeah, we're getting into. I kind of really got into like professional lights like last year. I did it like a couple years before, but it's more like just going to Home Depot getting the crappy lights and stuff. But now we're doing like the professional lighting, and it's been awesome. Like we did 30K my first of November of really
Oh,
doing
wow.
pro lights, and so yeah, we're definitely doing a lot of trainings on that this year, and I'm working with like Christmas light contractors. So we're probably going to be at the huge like the pressure washing
Yeah.
convention in August and stuff. You guys gonna be there?
I'm not a big fan of those things.
Yeah,
I probably should be, but probably not. I might. Where's it at? Is it in Atlanta or Nashville?
it's in Nashville. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. This would be my first time. I've never been to it, so
Yeah.
but
I contemplate every year and then I decide no. But that's just me. So you
yeah.
said you're going to be doing some training. Are you doing in-person training or working with?
Yeah, we're doing some in-person stuff. Yeah, Christmas lights are, I mean, because back to your main point, adding extra services and stuff is huge.
But yeah, that's a phenomenal business too. I mean, that is something that you can put, a pretty. I think the learning curve is relatively short to get into it. We actually put together a training program with a guy named Glenn Jernigan who absolutely crushes with Christmas lights, and I think he probably makes more in the 3 months of Christmas lighting than he does all year with his wash business, and he doesn't have a small wash business. It's a great thing to add on. So, if anybody's looking for, I get it all the time, and I'm sure you do. What should I do in the winter? Well, you figure it out,
Yeah.
and Christmas lighting is something that you should really think about doing.
Yeah, I mean the winter question is always fun because I mean, yeah, we just go to Mexico. It's cheap, it's warm. There's like, I mean, in Seattle too, is like it's pretty gnarly in December. No one really wants to be there. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, that's kind of a point I always like to mention. Just like I was listening to a podcast with talking about like 401ks. They were launched in like the 70s or something. So like 401k, like the whole retirement plan is only like 50, 60 years old. So like the
yeah.
real first generation that's using it is like coming out now. So everyone's like obsessed with like, oh, I need to be working 50 weeks a year. I need to get a retirement plan. And it's just like that shit never existed for the thousands of years that humans have been doing our thing. Like we've just been
Right.
providing services to other people. And
It's a mindset thing, and you're absolutely right. People do like, and up in the Northeast, I think really, they get shut down. You're in Wisconsin,
yeah,
Minnesota. The question is, oh, I want to get started, but like, what am I going to do? Well, you bust your ass when you can, and you make as much money as you can. It's a mindset thing. People think they have to work nonstop, and you just don't. Right? Accrue money, save money, be smart, and make it while you can. Back in the olden days, and this is probably before you were born, there was internet forums, right? And all the these it was like the Facebook groups and all, and it was the same negative, toxic environment
yeah,
then that it is now, which is why I very rarely stick my head
yeah,
in there. But and people like to talk shit. Long story short, the guys in the Northeast, we talk about pricing, and I would spit out numbers of what we're charging down there, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, that is too cheap. You're going to go out of business. You're not." Well, no, pricing is different depending on your market, right? That's why I'm very sensitive about, hey, how much should I quote for this, that, or the other? Well, I can't tell you because there's so many
yeah.
variables.
I hate that question.
Oh, I get it all the
Like,
time, and it's horrible. But that being said, when you've only got 6, 7 months, 8 months to work, you better charge a shit ton more, right? Like we've got a 12-month season. My guys work all year long, and we don't stop because of weather. 2 or 3 days where it's sub-zero, and we'll start later. That's about
yeah.
it. So we're very fortunate, but it's just one of those questions. The pricing. What am I going to do in the winter? And there are lots of things that you can do, and I think we covered quite a few of them. Or just go to Mexico.
Yeah, and I would argue like, yeah, let's say you're locked in the ice of the north or wherever, like if people are there, people are still buying shit. Like what are they buying? There's so many different things you could sell. Like I talked to one guy, I was sitting next to him on the plane. He lived in Alaska, and he's like, "Oh yeah, someone paid me like $500 to shovel snow off their roof." I'm like, "Oh, well, there you go." He said some people even charge $1,000. Like I was just doing it for like a friend, and I was like, well, there you go. So yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, human beings, we're the number one species because we're adaptable. Like that was, if you listen to like Darwin's quote, it wasn't like the smartest or intelligence, adaptable. Like we can move around. We've always, hunter gatherer. We've moved around doing different shit. Like being in one place, just like doing one thing is just like, that's not how nature works. That's not how, until now we have our houses, we build it and we just live there. But if you really look at like how everything operates, like you got to be adaptable, move
yeah.
around
And
and
you look
shit,
at the most
flexible.
successful people, and the most successful people adapt.
Yeah.
And they overcome, and they shift, and they see that this isn't working. Let's try something else. Like that's what's made, like with quote IQ, why we've been able to do what we've done with it, is because, okay, we tried this, it doesn't work, let's go over here. And it's just Justin and I, right? We've got a team around us of programmers and developers and all that. But at the end of the day, we're not beholden to any board or investors that say, oh, you got to do this, we need these approvals. Fuck that. We're going to do what we want to
Yeah.
do, and if it works, it works, and we're going to lean into it. If it doesn't work, fuck it, let's get rid of it and try something else. Because the evolution, right? If you're not evolving, you're dying. And it goes
Yeah.
back to that adaptability.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And that impressed me right away. You're like, oh, because I mean, obviously, I just been using Quote IQ for the last like month or two, and that was your first question. Like, oh, is there anything we can improve on it? Like that's awesome right there. Like that's a
Yeah.
really good sign. Like you guys obviously know what you're doing. Like, and
Right.
even still,
Well,
even if you don't know 100% what's going on, like you figure it out. You ask people. Like that's
right.
all. It's all you got to do.
Yeah. And I do that with all of our users, right? Like these are the folks that can give us the best input on how we can make it better. And it's the same thing with like my service business. Every time we complete a job, we send an email out asking how we did, right? Because we want to know, because if we're not doing good, guess what? They're not going to call us back. They're not going to leave us a review. They're not going to refer us to their friends and their family, right? And then the LTV, right, that lifetime value of that customer diminishes significantly. When the feedback is good, that's when you hit them for a review, which helps your SEO, which helps you get more customers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the circle of life, right? Everything we do has a reaction that's either positive or negative, and we just have to have as many positives as we can, and then life gets a hell of a lot better and easier.
Yeah, I know exactly. And just not taking it so seriously too. I see like, yeah, all those Facebook groups, people just take it so seriously. It's always kind of funny. That's something that I love about you and your videos. You're just like kind of just memeing on everyone, like just all of your videos are kind of funny if you really, and yeah, some people just, that's something I also like to say is like all these guys are like, oh, that's not the right amount of bleach or chemical or this. I'm like, dude, we're spraying bleach on stuff to clean it. Like, this isn't rocket science. Like, doesn't need to be. We're making great money, and like, yeah, you can have as many people as you want working for you. You can have whatever you want out of this business or out of life. You know, I got 3 guys right now working for me, and that's probably about where I want to keep. I don't really want any more than that. But
Yeah.
some people do. Some people have 10 guys, like you said. So it's just
Right.
like really whatever the fuck you want, like you can do it, and just also just relax a bit too. That's another thing
Yeah.
I tell anyone. So
Well, and you nailed it. Like I see guys and they're like, 70 years old and still working. Like, fuck no, right?
yeah,
There is pride and you should be proud of working hard, but you don't always have to work hard. You can work smarter, and you can
yeah,
implement systems and automations and things to make things and make your life easier, make it better. It's the same type of guys that I was, where I was like, I'm never going to learn from anybody else. I'm going to do it the hard way. I'm going to figure it out on my own, because that's what I thought had to happen, and that's just not the case. So I think we're going to wrap it up, but I've really enjoyed talking to you.
yeah.
If there was one piece of advice that you had for people that are thinking about starting a business, regardless of what it is, from your experience, what kind of advice would you give somebody?
I would really pay attention to like when you wake up in the morning, like what like do you like to do? What excites you? Like, and really pay attention to those like little emotions of like if something makes you feel like, because I don't know, I was always like, I don't like when I was a kid, I was like any scheduling or time and just like having to be at certain places, certain times was really like just did not work for me. So even today, like I rarely have any meetings. Something with like ADHD just doesn't work. So like I needed to have my own business where I could show up when I wanted, just text my customer, hey, I'm on my way, or hey, we're doing this. Being really, and that just works for me. I love a really flexible schedule, and so that's something that I really needed to create with business. But like that's the thing I love about business. You're building your own little world that you can make all the laws how you want it to be. Doesn't matter how anything else or anything is anywhere else. With you and your life, you can make it as it should be. So maybe some people do like to have a rigid schedule. I know one of my guys, he likes to be up out of the house at like 6 a.m. and he's like there, which is not me. I like to show up to the job around like noon. I do like my writing and stuff and making videos in the morning. And then like I have a very like kind of structured day where I like to do how I like to do. So just like really pay attention to how you feel, what you like to do, and then chase that. And then like we said earlier, have that long-term vision. Like, hey, I'm not really necessarily worried if it doesn't work out next week. I'm going to keep going next month, year from now, 5 years from now. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to live the life that I want to live. So that's what I would say.
That is awesome. And those are great. I mean, that's great advice. And, you know, I think, and I don't know, I'd like to see a study like on entrepreneurs and people. Like I've got the worst ADHD in the
Yeah.
history of ADHD. And in fact, I may have been the first one with it. And, but
You're
I am the
patient
same
zero.
way. Like I'm all over the place. And that's why I think, it's helped make me,
It's a
successful.
superpower though, when you really think about it. It's a
Yeah.
superpower. Like if you're thinking like evolutionary, like if we got lions chasing us or whatever, like you have to be able to like think on your feet, like solve 10 different problems at once. I got a crying baby, I got a dog, we got all this shit going on, I got employees, but it works really well. So honestly,
Yeah.
like I think of it as a superpower, not as like a negative.
No, I do too. And
So,
and my kids will be like, they're struggling in school or something. They're like, I think I have ADHD. I was like, that's awesome, right? But
yeah,
it's not a bad thing. But man, thank you so much for coming on the channel, everybody. If you don't
appreciate it, Mike.
know, yeah, man, Spencer Clays, go check out his channel, and I'll put all the information that we talked about with your new product and some of the other things we talked about. So check them out, and you guys, thanks for watching.